Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to be cutting out snowflakes, and if you've known me for very long, you know that's one of my absolute favorite things to do. I have a template that we could use if we want to make a six-sided snowflake, or if you're just going to make traditional snowflake, then we will be using just regular piece of paper. It depends on what I have, where I'm at. If you're using regular paper, you need it to be square, so one of the first things you got to do is fold this up like this and get rid of that extra rectangle of paper, because a rectangle will not work. You need it to be a square. So once you get rid of that, you have yourself a square, and you can continue on from there. The steps for the one with this paper would be to just fold it in half again, and then fold it in half again. Once you have that, you're ready to start cutting along the folded sides. So you're going to cut along here and here. No point in cutting here except to get rid of, in order for it to look like a snowflake, I got to get rid of this extra. This is the corner of your paper, and it'll just look like a square if you don't get rid of that. So get rid of that piece. You don't need those. And I try to make it look like a kite shape. You can see mine's not quite even, so I'm just going to do a little bit more right here. I'm trying to make it look as much like a kite as I can before I start cutting. And then you're going to just cut out shapes starting on the fold line, go in and come back out. You can cut out a traditional, like half of a heart. You could cut out like some zigzag lines. Those will end up looking like diamonds. It doesn't matter, and you can draw them on here first. So if you're not comfortable with just cutting, you could draw on what you're going to cut out. So maybe I'm going to start by just doing a U shape. Maybe I want to try a heart shape. Like I said, if you do a triangle, this, just cut in and cut out, it's going to give you a diamond shape. Maybe you want to get fancier and you want to go, you can go all the way over, but just don't touch any of these shapes here. So I can go this far with my next shape, okay, but I don't want to get any closer. I usually in the corner here, I usually do a little diamond. This is the only place where I go from one side to the other, because it's the tip. I cut the center out, and it usually makes a star here if you do a little diamond cut. Let's see, what's another thing here. I'm just going to do a zigzag. That. All right, once you have your planned shapes, then you're just going to take your scissors and cut in and cut right back out. Go in and come out. Don't go all the way across. If you go all the way across, it cuts this in half and you have a much smaller snowflake. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to show you how to do this one. So this is a paper that I kind of created a template, because if you want it six-sided, it's a little bit trickier to do the 1/3 folds. So this has a fold line, number 1, then we're going to fold it number 2, so you just follow the numbers 1, fold it in the middle, 2, fold it right along this line, 3, fold it along this line, then 4 is over here. It's going to be to cut, so these solid lines are to cut, and 5 is to cut, and then we can actually start cutting out our snowflake. So let's go through the directions. Number 1, fold it in half. So I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to try to line it up right along that dotted line, which is a little bit tricky. All right, there we go. Crease it. Then I'm going to fold it on line 2, and I'm going to fold it backwards because I need to be able to see my directions here. So there's my direction. If I fold it the other way, I won't be able to see the next direction. So there's number 2. And go back here. There's number 3. So I'm going to fold it this way. Should just kind of wrap right around. Number 3 should, if you're doing it correctly, you should have wrapped it almost like you're folding it in and in like this. Okay, now my directions are on the other side. Oops, no, they're not. I guess I was supposed to fold that backwards. My mistake. You're supposed to fold it this way so that you can see the cut directions, right? And then I have to fold this one this way. Otherwise, I can't see where number 4 and number 5 are. So if you run into that problem, just fold it the opposite direction. All right, number 4 says to cut along here, so I'm just going to cut right along there. Number 5 says to cut along here, so I'm going to cut along here. And now I have the starting point. You can see the diamond shape that we talked about with this one. Only this is going to be an 8-sided one. This is going to be 6-sided. Okay. Now you can, again, you can draw the shapes that you want to cut, or you can just cut them. Now what Mrs. Walker has found is that for cutting really small, delicate shapes, the teeny tiny scissors actually work better than the bigger scissors. Big scissors are good for just cutting off that piece, but if you want to do something kind of fancy, I'm going to try doing a spiral in here. If you cut into your paper and nothing falls out, you aren't actually making a snowflake. So like if I just make that cut and there's no paper laying here on the table, then I haven't really done anything except make a cut in my paper. If you want to make a snowflake, you actually have to see pieces of paper falling down. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to try to stay right in the middle of my line. Ooh, if I'm not careful right here, my whole center piece would fall out. I don't want to touch any of those lines until I get to the center, and then I'm going to snip it. All right, now you should see pieces of paper falling down when you're cutting, because that's how you get that lacy feeling, that where this is tangled up with the middle ones. Oh, they're very tangled, but I will get them. There we go. All right, so these pieces are falling out. Now I've got that nice open space. You can see that I've actually taken something out of my paper. There's a negative space in here. Now the easier things, like I said, you could do a heart shape. It's just basically doing half of a heart. So there's my half heart. I could do another. Oh, I remember I told you I always like to do that star right. I do this right here. It makes a little bit of a star. I'm just going to do another giant heart here because I've got enough space. And let's see, how about like a zigzag line. All right, and then for my very favorite part, the great reveal. So we're going to open this up and see what we got. This is the best part. It's finding out how your design turned out. And then we're going to glue this down onto colored paper. So be sure when you glue it, look at that, cool. Be sure when you glue it that the side that you can see the writing on where it says fold, fold, that's the side you put the glue on so we don't see it. Okay? Hey, those look like Christmas trees. Fun.